Well, it's the end of another year, and I'd say it was overall a pretty good year for film. So, because I have no idea how else to preface this, here's my list of the top 10 films of 2024. Now, a few disclaimers. One, obviously, I did not see every movie that came out in 2024. The films you're seeing right now are basically all of the movies I did manage to see this year. So, if you don't see your favorite movie of the year in this montage, that means I just didn't see it. Second, obviously, this is all just my subjective opinion. Odds are you probably have a different top 10 list, in which case I would love to hear it. Please let me know what your favorite movies of the year were in the comments. And finally, you're probably wondering about that and a half in the title. It'll make sense later. Okay, so before we get started, let's start with some honorable mentions, which include A Real Pain, Conclave, Strange Darling, Thelma, Love Lies Bleeding, A Different Man, and Sing Sing. Number 10, Wicked. Now, this is a film that I largely had no expectations going into it, but to me, this was the biggest surprise of the year. Yes, it's a bit cheesy. Yes, it is at times very cringe, but the movie knows that, and it definitely plays into its own narrative with enough sincerity and heart that it strangely works rather well. What I really love is the smart decision to split the musical into two parts. The ending of this film, which I would argue is the best ending out of any movie this year, is absolutely remarkable. The way that Defying Gravity builds into one of the strongest emotional climaxes out of any movie this year, perfectly encapsulating the film's character arcs and the surprisingly nuanced themes of genocide and authoritarianism is just so satisfying that despite the film's issues that I had with the first two thirds, when that ending hits, none of those issues seem to matter anymore. It's a really emotionally satisfying film, and it's easy to see why audiences everywhere seem to love it. Number 9, Nosferatu. Robert Eggers has slowly been becoming one of the strongest filmmakers in recent memory, with essentially every film he's done becoming one of my favorite films of that respective year. Nosferatu, a long-awaited gothic horror remake of the classic silent film, fully commits to Eggers' style, crafting some amazing performances, chilling and beautiful cinematography, and one of the most suspenseful historical films I've seen in a long while. Lily Rose Depp is just fantastically weird in her performance, which becomes as hypnotic to watch as the film itself, and Bill Skarsgård is weirdly fantastic and menacing as the film's central villain, helping craft a world of horror that is uniquely Eggers. Number 8, Longlegs. Longlegs caught my attention for having some of the most unconventional trailers I've ever seen for a film, which often alone were chilling and disturbing. While this film isn't for everyone, I found the final product to be just as disturbing as the trailers made it out to be. Nicolas Cage gives one of his career best performances as an unsettling satanic serial killer that probably deserved an Oscar nomination, but it's Osgood Perkins directing that solidifies Longlegs as a great horror film. The film's precise cinematography, editing, and sound design seem to take on a life of its own as it fills the movie with a never-ending sense of dread, while Perkins uses the tropes of the horror genre, especially jump scares, in clever ways that actually elevate the storytelling. It's an unnerving film and one that immediately puts Perkins on the directing map for me. Number 7, Challengers. Luca Guadagnino seems to be one of those really fantastic directors who, for some reason, constantly flies under the radar when it comes to awards season. Challengers is one of his finest films, cleverly pairing a story of a tennis match and a rivalry to that of an ever more complicated love triangle. Both Mike Feist and Josh O'Connor are great, but it's Zendaya giving her all-out best performance. The narrative structure is perfectly fine-tuned, and of course, the music is pulsing and so pitch perfect that I'm genuinely shocked at how it didn't get an Oscar nomination. It's one of the most stylistic and fun sports films I've ever seen, and one that I haven't been able to stop thinking about since I saw it. Number 6, Dune Part 2. As a longtime Villeneuve fan, I couldn't be more happy that he's finally getting the recognition he deserves. There really isn't much to say about Dune Part 2 that hasn't already been said about the first film. It's a grand epic scope that successfully adapts a previously unadaptable source material. Villeneuve's directing fully immerses you into this world in a way few sci-fi fantasy films can. The production values are wonderful, Zimmer's score is unique, tense, and innovative in a number of ways. The one thing I will say that works better in Part 2 is the fact that it works so well as its own film. The first Dune is a great movie, but it works better as the first half of a longer film. Part 2 works as, well, a part 2, but the way Villeneuve and co-writer John Spates structured the story allowed the film to offer a complete and satisfying arc, allowing the film to work as its own individual film, as well as the second half of a larger story. I'm hoping Villeneuve will branch out of the Dune franchise since he's such a fantastic director, but if he chooses to stay in Arrakis, I won't complain. Number 5, Anora. Sean Baker has quietly been building such a strong filmography of fantastic indie films following marginalized people, so it's really sweet to see him finally break into award season with Anora. Anora, led by the utterly amazing Mikey Madison, is unique in the way that gets you to fully empathize with its title character. In a character's hands, you might see the ending coming a mile away, but with Baker, you really go on this journey with this character, and you really believe everything she believes along the way. I'm trying not to say too much for those who haven't seen it, but the result's one of the most satisfying emotional roller coasters I've experienced in a long while. Number 4, Flow. You may have heard of Flow as the cat movie that unexpectedly won the Golden Globe for animated feature, and having seen it, I can definitely say that it not only deserved it, but I wish it could be up for Best Picture at the Oscars. The film, which follows a group of animals trying to survive a flood, is unique in the way that every character in the film acts like an actual animal. There are no voice actors, no dialogue, just animals acting like real animals. Yet, despite this, every character in the film has a clear personality. Every character goes through a clear character arc. They all still fill their roles as adventure character archetypes, yet they're also still just animals. It's a remarkable feat on its own, but pair that with some unique animation, tense moments, and one scene that will forever live in my memory as one of the most transcendent moments in film I've ever seen, and you know you have one unique movie. Okay, so quick side note, you may be wondering about the whole 10 and a half movies of the year. Well, as some of you may know, I went to the Sundance Film Festival in 2024, which was awesome and you should totally go if you get the chance. Anyway, one of the best films I saw at the festival was a Chinese psychological thriller called Brief History of a Family. The thing is, the film isn't officially released yet. Able to catch it at one of the few film festivals it's screened at, you still can't watch it anywhere. Which puts me in a bit of a difficult spot. On one hand, I want to write this list so that if any movie on here interests you, you could theoretically go out and see that movie right now. However, I also can't just ignore that Brief History of a Family was one of the best movies I saw of this past year. So here it is as an unofficial entry into this top 10 list. Brief History of a Family is a film best gone into blind, so I'll try to keep this brief, pun not intended. But what I will say about the plot is that it's about a Chinese family who adopts their son's reclusive best friend after his parents die, and in doing so, family tensions and secrets rise to the surface, and that's the most I'll say about it. This is the type of film where you never truly know where it's going, but you're on the edge of your seat the whole time until the inevitable and shocking conclusion. The film looks gorgeous, but also eerie. John G. Lynn's directing is absolutely perfect throughout the film. What's even more surprising is the fact that this is his first feature, which you would never be able to guess based on simply watching it. I don't want to say too much since it's best to go into it blind, but definitely be on the lookout for whenever it finally does, hopefully, release. Okay, officially, number 3, The Substance. One of the most stylish and brutal body horror films ever made, The Substance is sure to become a horror classic in the years to come. Everyone has spoken about Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley's equally fun and incredible performances, but Fargyat truly shines as a horror visionary as the film's writer-director. I don't think I've ever seen a horror film more slick and abrasive as The Substance, but also never quite as shocking. You seem to know where the film is going, and it gets there, but then it just keeps going, and eventually lands at one of the most insane and craziest third acts I've ever seen in a film. It's weirdly funny, shocking, and extremely suspenseful with a host of fascinating themes and social critiques. The Substance is a film I haven't stopped thinking about and likely won't stop thinking about for a long time. Number 2, The Brutalist. The Brutalist is an extremely ambitious and audacious historical epic, following the lives of Jewish Holocaust survivors as they attempt to thrive in post-World War II America. As anyone can expect, Adrian Brody and Felicity Jones give great performances, and Guy Pearce is likely giving the best performance of his career. Brady Corbett's vision, however, is absolutely stunning. From its tense opening, the film has such a unique and bold artistic vision that equally pays homage to classic cinema while also innovating the art form towards its future. The film's daunting, almost 4-hour runtime flies by thanks to his engaging narrative, as well as the film's brilliant score and directing, not to mention the timely themes of anti-Semitism and xenophobia. If it weren't for some of the choices I wasn't a big fan of towards the film's epilogue, it would have been my pick for the best film of the year. But instead, that honor goes to number 1, I Saw the TV Glow. Jane Schoenbrun's coming-of-age odyssey is technically a horror. Horror had a strong year this year, with 4 out of 10 movies on this list being horror. But I Saw the TV Glow plays out almost more like a lifelong tragedy of someone feeling trapped in a life they feel was never meant for them. The film boasts a unique narrative. 2 teens bond over a young adult television show which, after getting cancelled, warps their view of reality. But Schoenbrun takes what could have been a conventional film and instead tells it in a completely unconventional way that almost demands multiple viewings to fully comprehend. Schoenbrun's visuals are remarkable and unforgettable, as are the film's lead performances and music. In particular, Schoenbrun's strong use of editing and color to help tell the story is truly inspiring. But at the heart of I Saw the TV Glow is a film that smartly captures the experience of time slipping away. Schoenbrun and many people have remarked how the film allegorizes and so truly captures the trans experience. But in creating such an allegory, Schoenbrun was able to tap into something more deeper that audiences can relate to, which is a feeling of being trapped in a life you don't really belong. The film is creative in both its narrative and its storytelling, but combine that with a heartfelt character arc and ending that poetically captures the film's message and themes, of course, you're going to end up with the best film of the year.